Hello, and welcome back to the news. We recently received the sad news of 7 American legends who passed away today. Today's episode is dedicated to their memory. If this video or the legacy of these remarkable men touched your life, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel as a sign of respect and remembrance. Barbara Taylor Bradford, the celebrated British-American writer and author of numerous bestsellers, including her debut novel, A Woman of Substance, died on November 24, 2024, at the age of 91. Her books became iconic works of modern literature, and her life an example of incredible success and dedication to creativity. Born on May 10, 1933 in Leeds, West Yorkshire, England, Barbara showed an interest in literature from an early age. At the age of 10, she sold her first short story to a local newspaper, demonstrating an extraordinary talent for storytelling. After leaving school, she began working as a stenographer, but her ambitions quickly took her to Fleet Street in London, where she became one of the first female editors and columnists on a leading British publication. In 1979, Barbara made her breakthrough with the release of her first novel, A Woman of Substance. Telling the story of Emma Hart, a strong woman who built an empire, the book quickly became an international bestseller. Since then, the book has been translated into more than 40 languages and sold over 30 million copies, ranking among the top 10 best-selling books of all time. Her literary career included writing 40 novels, many of which also became bestsellers. Barbara was renowned for her ability to create vivid, strong female characters who overcame adversity and achieved success, inspiring millions of readers around the world. Her other popular books include Hold the Dream, To Be the Best, and The Ravenscar Dynasty. Bradford was not only a writer, but also a devoted wife. In 1963, she married American film producer Robert Bradford, with whom she lived for 56 years until his death in 2019. Their union became not only a personal but also a professional partnership. Robert often inspired her to write new works. Barbara received many awards and honors throughout her life. In 2007, she was awarded the Order of the British Empire, OBE, for services to literature. Her work has been highly praised by critics and readers, and her contribution to literature has been recognized with many prestigious awards and honorary degrees. Barbara continued to write even in her old age, remaining an example of an energetic and creative approach to life. She believed that stories about strong women can inspire and strengthen self-confidence. Barbara Taylor Bradford's death is a loss to the literary world, but her work lives on as an important part of our cultural heritage. She left behind a rich archive of writing that inspires and resonates with readers of all ages. Her funeral will take place in New York City, where she will be buried next to her husband. Quincy Jones, legendary American producer, composer, arranger, and one of the most influential figures in the 20th century music industry, died on November 23, 2024, at the age of 91. His career spanned more than 6 decades, spanning many musical genres and leaving an indelible mark on cultural history. Born March 14, 1933, in Chicago, Illinois, Quincy Jones grew up in Seattle, Washington, where he developed an interest in music at a young age. His first instrument was the trumpet, and as a teenager he began arranging music. His talent and love for the arts led him to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, where he furthered his knowledge of composition and arranging. Quincy Jones began his career as a jazz arranger and conductor, working with legends such as Lionel Hampton, Dizzy Gillespie, and Sarah Vaughan. His talent quickly attracted attention, and he began creating arrangements for orchestras that were becoming the backbone of the mid-20th century jazz scene. In the 1960s, Jones became the first African American to hold the position of vice president at a major record label, Mercury Records, marking a major step in the fight for equality in the music industry. However, Quincy Jones gained worldwide fame for his work with Michael Jackson. He produced 3 iconic albums, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. Thriller, released in 1982, became the best-selling album of all time, selling more than 70 million copies. Jones's contributions to these records changed pop music forever. In addition to pop music, Jones has made a huge contribution to film and television music. He has composed soundtracks for films such as The Color Purple and Man of Glass. His music for TV series such as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has become iconic in American pop culture. Throughout his career, Jones has received 28 Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Award. He was awarded the Grammy Legend Award in 1992 and was a Kennedy Center honoree in 2001. His contributions to music were also recognized by his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. Quincy's personal life was rich and varied. He was married 3 times and raised 7 children, including actress Rashida Jones. His family remained an important part of his life, despite his busy schedule and international recognition. In his later years, Quincy Jones was active in supporting young artists and educational initiatives. His work covered themes of social justice, cultural diversity, and supporting emerging talent. Quincy Jones's death is a great loss to the world of music. His genius, creative energy, and ability to unite people through art left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. His music continues to resonate, inspiring new generations of musicians and listeners. Peter Sinfield, an eminent English poet, songwriter and producer, died on November 24, 2024, at the age of 80. His name is associated with the birth of progressive rock, and his work, especially with King Crimson, defined the genre's sound and aesthetic. Born on December 27, 1943 in London, Peter showed a creative bent from an early age. His interest in literature, poetry, and music led him into the music industry, where he quickly gained a reputation as an innovator. In 1968, Sinfield co-founded King Crimson, along with Robert Fripp. The band became a revolution in the music world with their debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, 1969. Sinfield's lyrics, rich in fantasy and philosophical imagery, formed the heart of King Crimson's early work. His poems, such as Epitaph, The Court of the Crimson King, and I Talk to the Wind, explored deep questions about human existence and our relationship with the world. In addition to his lyrics, Peter was responsible for the band's visual concept, including the design of the album covers, which gave King Crimson's work a coherent and unique style. After recording 4 albums with King Crimson, Sinfield left the band in 1972, continuing his creative path as a solo artist and producer. In 1973, he released his only solo album, Still, which showcased his poetic and musical gifts. Peter also made his mark with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, writing lyrics for their landmark album, Brain Salad Surgery, 1973. He also produced Roxy Music's debut album, which marked the beginning of a long journey for the band. Sinfield has had success in pop music in the decades since, writing lyrics for artists such as Celine Dion and Cher, and finding a new language to reach a wider audience. Despite the change in musical directions, Peter Sinfield remained true to his unique style, which combined poetry, dreaminess, and deep emotionality. His creative path was full of experiments, bold decisions, and the search for new forms of self-expression. His passing is a loss to progressive rock fans and the music industry as a whole. However, his influence lives on in the work of King Crimson, his other projects, and the inspiration he provided to countless musicians. Peter Sinfield was not only a master of words, but also an innovator who was always ahead of his time. Morgan Spurlock, a prominent American documentary filmmaker, writer, and broadcaster, died on November 23, 2024, at the age of 53, from complications related to cancer. His groundbreaking films and series, which addressed important social issues, made him one of the most recognizable figures in the world of documentary filmmaking. Born November 7, 1970, in Parkersburg, West Virginia, Morgan grew up in Beckley, West Virginia, the son of Ben and Phyllis Spurlock. From an early age, he showed an interest in film and creativity. After graduating from Woodrow Wilson High School, he attended New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, where he received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in filmmaking in 1993. Spurlock's career began with independent projects, but his real breakthrough came in 2004 with the documentary Super Size Me. In the film, Morgan personally conducted an experiment by eating only McDonald's for 30 days to study the effects of fast food on health. Not only was the film nominated for an Academy Award for Best Documentary, but it also won Best Director at the Sundance Film Festival. The work caused a huge public outcry, pushing audiences and even corporations to rethink their approaches to nutrition. Following the success of Super Size Me, Spurlock continued his career in documentary filmmaking, making films that explored various aspects of modern life. His notable works include Where in the World is Osama bin Laden, 2008, which explored international security with humor and irony, and Palm Wonderful Presents, The Greatest Movie Ever Sold, 2011, which explored advertising and sponsorship in film. Spurlock has also worked on commercially successful projects, including the film One Direction, This Is Us, 2013, which became a worldwide hit among the band's fans. He has also created and hosted television series such as 30 Days, 2005-2008, in which the members spent a month immersed in new and unfamiliar circumstances, and Inside Man, 2013-2016, in which he explored various aspects of life in the United States. Spurlock has had a busy personal life. He has been married 3 times, to Priscilla Summer, Alexandra Jameson, and Sarah Bernstein. He has 2 children. But his reputation took a hit in 2017 when, amid the #MeToo movement, he publicly admitted to past misdeeds and voluntarily stepped down from his production company. Despite his personal struggles, his contribution to documentary filmmaking remains undeniable. Spurlock's work was original and bold, and he was not afraid to tackle controversial topics. His films inspired viewers to think about complex issues, whether it was health, advertising, or global issues. Morgan Spurlock will forever be remembered as a man who could tackle serious topics with humor and sincerity. His work continues to inspire documentary filmmakers and challenge viewers to see the world in new ways. Teri Garr, an iconic actress and icon of American cinema in the 70s and 80s, she died on November 18, 2024, at the age of 79. Her name will forever be associated with such masterpieces as Young Frankenstein, Tootsie, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Garr is remembered as one of the most versatile actresses of her time, whose career was marked by comedic skill, dramatic flair, and astonishing charisma. Teri was born on December 11, 1944, in Lakewood, Ohio, to a family with ties to the arts. Her father, Eddie Garr, was an actor and comedian who performed in vaudeville, and her mother, Phyllis, was a costume designer for Hollywood studios. Her parents' influence sparked Teri's interest in acting and the stage from an early age. After high school, she studied theater and dance at the University of California, Los Angeles, which gave her a solid foundation for her future career. Her Hollywood beginnings were humble. She performed as a dancer in films such as West Side Story, 1961, and Viva Las Vegas, 1964, where she worked with Elvis Presley himself. Her ambitions went beyond dance numbers, however. Garr was looking for opportunities for serious roles that would allow her to reveal her full potential. Her turning point came with her performance in Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, 1974, where she played Dr. Frankenstein's charming and funny assistant. The film became not only a comedy classic, but also Garr's calling card, cementing her status as a talented comedy actress. In 1982, she played one of her most iconic roles, Sandy Lester in Tootsie. Her portrayal of a devoted but tormented actress struggling for love and acceptance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. The success cemented her as an A-list star. Her other notable works include Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 1977, Mr. Mommy, 1983, After Hours, 1985, and many others. Her ability to combine drama and comedy made her a sought-after actress who could create a memorable image even in small roles. However, her life has not only been one of triumphs, but also of challenges. In the early 2000s, Garr began to experience serious health problems. Her diagnosis of multiple sclerosis was made public in 2002. Instead of retreating, Teri began to actively advocate for raising awareness of the disease and supporting those who were facing the same illness. She became an example of strength and resilience, continuing to appear on screen and participate in charity events despite her deteriorating health. Her death was a loss not only to her colleagues and fans, but to the entire film industry. Teri Garr was more than just an actress. She was an icon of an era, a talented artist, and a person who knew how to remain true to herself in any situation. Her films continue to inspire and entertain, and her life's journey remains an example of courage and dedication to her art. Roy Haynes, legendary American jazz drummer, whose career spanned more than 7 decades, died on November 22, 2024, at the age of 99. His virtuoso skill and ability to adapt to changes in jazz music made him one of the most respected figures in the history of the genre. Born March 13, 1925, in Boston, Massachusetts, Roy showed an interest in music from an early age. His first professional experience came in 1942, when he began performing with local bands in Boston. With his natural talent and unique sense of rhythm, he quickly gained a reputation as one of the most promising young drummers. In the late 1940s, Haynes moved to New York City, where his career began to take off. He became part of the revolutionary bebop movement, collaborating with jazz giants such as Lester Young, Bud Powell, and Thelonious Monk. His style, distinguished by its clarity and exquisite complexity, earned him the nickname Snap Crackle. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Haynes worked with countless jazz legends, including Charlie Parker, Sarah Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, Stan Getz, and John Coltrane. His drumming didn't just set the rhythm, it became a key part of the musical narrative, creating a dialogue with the rest of the musicians. Roy Haynes was not only a master of bebop, but also a bold experimenter with new styles. His work with John Coltrane, especially on the album Out of This World, and with Chick Corea on Return to Forever, demonstrated his ability to adapt to changes in jazz and explore new musical horizons. Even in his old age, Haynes continued to actively perform, record, and work with young musicians. His Fountain of Youth band became an example of how he inspired a new generation of jazz performers. Throughout his life, he received numerous awards, including induction into the Modern Drummer Hall of Fame in 1999 and the NEA Jazz Masters Award in 1995, the highest honor in U.S. jazz music. Roy's personal life was also eventful. He was married and raised children, many of whom followed his example and connected their lives with music. Roy Haynes's death marked the end of an era in the world of jazz. His contribution to music was not only his recordings and performances, but also the influence he had on generations of musicians. His style, innovation, and indomitable energy remain an inspiration to all who seek to understand the depth and richness of jazz music. Roy Haynes left behind a rich legacy of recordings that will be heard for years to come, and memories of an extraordinary man whose love for music never faded. Kamala Devi Harris, 49th Vice President of the United States, became a historic figure, reaching the heights of American politics as the first woman, the first African American, and the first Asian American politician to hold this position. Her life, full of difficulties, successes, and struggles, is an example of perseverance and commitment to her beliefs. Early years and difficulties. Born in Oakland, California, to immigrant parents, her mother, Shyamala Gopalan, a biological scientist from India, raised Kamala and her sister Maya alone after divorcing her father, Donald Harris, an economics professor of Jamaican descent. Kamala grew up with racial inequality and discrimination, which greatly influenced her desire to fight for justice. Growing up, she often faced prejudice because of her background. When her family moved to Berkeley, Kamala was one of the first children to participate in a school integration program. These challenges strengthened her character and inspired her to pursue a career that focused on defending the rights of the oppressed. Career and health. Harris attended Howard University in Washington, where she distinguished herself as an activist and leader. She then graduated from the University of California School of Law. Beginning her career as a deputy district attorney in Alameda County, she faced a demanding schedule, stress, and a high level of responsibility. In 2003, Kamala became the San Francisco district attorney. In this position, she fought crime while trying to implement reforms aimed at lenient punishments for minor offenders. These years were a real challenge for her, as she worked 18 hours a day, which negatively affected her health. Later, as California's Attorney General and then a U.S. Senator, Harris struggled with chronic stress and burnout, which led to a number of health problems. Sources say Kamala struggled with hypertension, insomnia, and migraines caused by her hectic work schedule. Personal life and health support. Despite her incredible workload, Kamala Harris has paid attention to her personal life. In 2014, she married attorney Douglas Emhoff. Their union became an example of partnership and mutual support. However, her family life has also been tested by her political career. Kamala was an avid practitioner of yoga and meditation to cope with the constant stress. She also followed a strict diet based on the recommendations of her scientist mother, who instilled in her a love for healthy eating from a young age. Coping with personal difficulties. One of the most difficult losses in her life was the death of her mother from cancer in 2009. This tragedy left a deep mark on her life, inspiring Kamala to actively support medical research and healthcare reform. She often mentioned that her family's personal experience with cancer helped her better understand the need for affordable medicine. Kamala has also endured a number of public attacks and threats during her political career. Her resilience and ability to remain calm in the most difficult situations have become her calling card. Kamala Harris is an example of a woman who overcame discrimination, societal prejudice, and personal challenges to become one of the most influential figures in American politics. Her work on reforms aimed at improving the healthcare system, justice, and equality shows that perseverance and tenacity can change the world.